Alright, so I am back here again with Swagger. This is part 2 of the show prep. Sorry if the audio isn't as good. It is extremely windy today, and so I'm going to try and talk loud and hopefully it doesn't sound too bad. It's been very rainy since the last video, so I've only gotten to ride him 3 times since then, and it's been basically every other day. So we haven't had a whole lot of consistency, but when I have rode him, I've been riding him out in the pasture, and I've been just working on settling in the gates, and obviously it's a little harder out in the pasture just because it's wide open, but I hoped that kind of had a stronger impact than just doing it in this little area. I also just couldn't do it in this area because it was all swampy. But today I'm going to try and do a little quicker warm-up, get him soft, and then I'm going to work on some more body control things such as counterbending him and moving his shoulders over. I'm going to work on haunches in. I'm going to work on backing up and going in, like backing in a circle, backing in a square, because in the show there's a trail portion that I'll have to back up through some cones or some poles or something. So I need to have him ready for that. And then also working on this body control stuff is it'll help with lead changes. So I'm also going to be doing some side passing too. But first, just like last time, just warming him up. Always start with bending, making sure he's soft. Basically what I was doing in the pasture is it's about a half mile to the back fence, and so I'd warm him up right next to the pens, and you can see over there, I think, that his buddies are over there. So I'd warm him up right there, trotting around. I couldn't really lope right there because it was swampy, but I try and warm up as close to them as possible, put a little more pressure on, and then I'd lope all the way out to that back fence. If his lope was good, I'd just sit out there. If it was bad, I'd lope him around some circles till he softened up, and then on the way back, I would walk and practice doing like shoulder in, shoulder out, which is basically the prep step to counter bend, moving his shoulders over. So it's just doing that, stepping him off. And I'd go both ways. And then I also do haunches in. So I'd walk all the way back, and then when I got back here, I would lope around some circles right next to his buddies because I noticed he wanted to come faster coming back this way. So I loped him around. I practiced my stops right there. That way it's not just get back to the pins and we get to relax and hang out with our friends. But the benefit of loping out straight in the first place is it gets him loping in a straight line rather than in circles. And so I can really feel if he's wanting to lean one way or the other, and I can just get him to line out a lot better without having to turn so much. I'm going to do some of that neck reining check-in, just so I make sure that he's paying attention to the neck rein. I've tried to refine it a little bit more because I was having to pull clear out here to get him to step off, and I want it to be just like this, just a few inches, and then he steps off. And so I've refined that a little bit. This feels pretty good, but all the prep stuff feels good. At the walk, I can pick up on him, see if he'll give me some vertical flexion. Yep, that's good. And then so now I can go into a trot. I'm going to trot him around loose rein, just neck reining, getting him warmed up. He's pooping. I do need to dial in his trot a little more, just because there's going to be like the trail pattern. I'm going to have to trot, and I want him to have a nice slow trot. And I assume when we go to the show location, he's going to be a little more amped up. So that's why I've been practicing that kind of in the pasture too. See, he's not responding to my neck rein. Let's just wake him up a little bit. But hopefully by going in the pasture where it gets his emotions up a little bit, hopefully that kind of simulates when I go show. And I've just been working on getting him settled into the trot before I start loping, and then getting him to settle into the lope. So I've done lots of bending and just getting him soft, and then lots of this just ride and guide. This doesn't feel bad, the speed's good, but he's still, since I haven't been able to consistently ride him due to the rain, he's still pretty sensitive to my legs. I just haven't had enough time to kind of dole him out to that a little bit. Because basically every day he comes out fresh, just because he had a day off in the rain. It was literally raining like every night or every other night, and I was just doing what I could with the rides. But speed-wise, this is pretty good. I just know that if I laid my legs on him a little more, he'd probably start speeding up. So I'm just trying to keep my legs as relaxed as I can. And then he speeds up, I'm just steering him. So now I'm going to do some bending at the trot. Just hope he stays soft, and if he doesn't, there he's wanting to stop, which is okay. I'd rather him want to slow down when I pick him up than want to speed up. But this is the same thing as at the walk, is if he's leaning on my body, then I'll just step him off with my leg. I kind of widened out right there, if you saw that. And then if he's leaning on my hand, then in conjunction with my leg being on him, I can give little impulses with the rein, and that'll soften him up. Since he's trotting pretty good on this loose rein while I'm still getting him warmed up, I'm going to go ahead and do some vertical flexion. I do need to practice this quite a bit at the trot. So I noticed when the last video, when I was, well, it was before the last video, I was attempting to do a video about vertical flexion, but then when I went to hold him in it, it was getting kind of anxious, so I didn't end up using the video, because I needed to practice it a little more before I show you guys what it's supposed to look like. Like, see here, I can hold him in it, he's not speeding up or anything, that's what we want. And just the other day, since I hadn't been doing it, he was getting a little nervous. But the things that'll make them nervous when you're doing this is just picking up in general at all will make them nervous when they're not used to it, or if they haven't done it in a while. And then when you hold them in that position, they can get a little bracy and nervous about it. And then the hardest thing, I think, is when you're changing gaits and doing transitions. That's when they want to get the most bracy and kind of jack their head up, or want to run off once you get into the next gait. And so it's good to just practice the prior step quite a bit before you go on to the harder thing. So like in the case of transitions, say he got real anxious in transitions, which he used to do, then I would practice holding him in contact, like at the trot and the lope, quite a bit before I go right to doing transitions, just to kind of build some depth of his understanding. Because if I just go around and ask him to soften, he softens and release, and then I just go straight into transitions, there's still a whole lot there that I haven't worked on. So it's important to cover all your bases before you're doing harder things. I like a lot how he's not really getting any anxiousness at all. We've outran through some water, that's why he turned like that. But I'm able to pick him up, get him soft, he stays slow, and then when I turn him loose again, he stays slow. I like that a whole lot. So I'm going to go ahead and lope him. I'm just going to lope off on a loose rein, so it might not look the prettiest, but oh well. It's not terrible. Kind of sped up in the trot first, but it was only a couple steps, so not too bad. Slope feels really good. People just showed up, so that might get his attention a little bit. Not too bad. But I can already tell that loping out in the pasture the last few days has helped a lot. When we come back into the smaller area, he just starts off way better. I'm having to keep my legs on him a lot more, which is good. So when I get over here, I'm going to sit and then bend him. And then I'm going to go the other way. Real soft, which is good. There he's kind of anticipating loping off immediately, so I'm just going to bend him around. Alright, so I'm back. I was just talking to the property owner that just pulled up. I think he's going to get a horse out, so I might have to voice over some of this whenever he's riding. I'm going to go ahead and do that left lead lope. So I don't know if you can tell, but as soon as I put my leg on, he kind of jumped forward. So I'm going to have to practice just putting that on and then it not meaning lope. Just because I want him waiting for the cue. He got lost his footing. We're just going to relax a minute. There he tried to lope off immediately again. This time I'm going to just stop him. Get him to soften up with my leg on. To go. So I'm going to practice this counter bend and then going into haunches in both ways for a little while. So now haunches in. That's good. And I can go the other way. waiting for him to get soft here. Now haunches in. Didn't love that. Getting a little amped up because he saw that other horse moving around. It's a little better, but I can feel he's kind of jigging a little bit. Go the other way. I'm just going to do this until he doesn't feel like he's wanting to lope off, and then when he feels like that for a little bit, then that's when I'll lope him off. Pretty good. Do it one more time because we kind of had a little fumble over there. Much better. So he was looking at that other horse, but I'm not going to make too big a deal out of it. Unless it becomes a problem. But I'm not going to kick him right back into it because then he'll get amped up. I'll just bend him around. We're just going to go the other way because that lope wasn't terrible. But I'm going to do a few more of the counter bends and haunches in just so he doesn't think lope, lope, lope. It does feel soft in my hands, which is good. Where I get into trouble with him is when I start getting too aggressive with my spurs or my hands. And then he loses it. Not terrible. There he's thinking about when to lope, so I'm just going to go right back to the counter bend. We'll see about this time. Feels better. Not too bad. Oh, there's water. There's blowout. Very good. This is a nice slow lope that I want. I'm just gonna sit. We'll color good there for that. And the rest of the stuff I'm going to do is, since I did my haunches in and counterbend, I'm going to do some side passing and some backing. I'm going to start with the side passing. And I'm going to do it bridled up. Trying to keep him straight and soft. I like how I feel in this side pass for not practicing it all the time. Now we're going to do our backing. So you need to teach them to be able to move their hindquarters first before backing, and then you're going to mix it in while backing. And so what that would look like is you back them up, and then have them step over. So right there, I just put my left leg in position 3, then back, then leg in position 3. And you just do that, and then you can start to add it in while you're backing, like that. Good. I'm going to go to the left now. So it's also important that they know that when your reins are pulling, they should be backing. So it's not just a constant pull. Same with my leg. So I'm not just holding it on, kind of going off and on. That's pretty good. little spin. I'm not going to try and get speed, but just nice cadence. Lazy there, buddy. I kicked him forward like that is because he was starting to turn his butt rather than using his front end. That was better. So the speed kind of sucked there, but his cadence was a lot better. Like he wasn't slowing down, speeding up, and he was staying pretty smooth. So I'm going to do another one to the right because that was where it was pretty bad. Better. I am going to have to speed him up a little bit, at least to where he was when we ended that one, because when he's going so slow, he just transfers his weight back and forth from front to back, and we don't need that. There we go, that feels a lot better. Nice. So not great, but not too terrible for the first time in a week doing it. So it was real sloppy. I wasn't going to have him slip around on his hind end. So before we stop, I'll just soften him up. He's soft that way. Make sure he's soft this way. And then we'll call her good. Perfect. So that was a pretty good ride. Sorry if the wind was bad. If it is bad, then I'll probably have added some voiceovers, which you already will know that. So stay tuned for the next one.